I'm delighted to introduce our next segment of our series, in our series talk series. The subject is the clinical engineer in the surgical center, and it will be presented by Bertone Suarez, a coordinator of clinical engineering project within the Albert Einstein Medical Center in Sao Paulo, Brazil. This is a very important subject, and I'm delighted that we have the expertise of Bertone with 17 years working in this environment. The surgical suites is known to have many different technologies, many complex operations, and patients that cannot defend for themselves. Therefore, the role of clinical engineer being immersed into the healthcare team delivery is very important. Important to make sure that the technology is installed correctly, performing well, and the patient is in safe condition throughout the procedure. What you will hear from Bertone is the interesting concept of what are the human resources that are required from a clinical engineering point of view at the surgical theater, the processes, the technology, and the training that he, as a professor in the field, are using in order to focus their training. And finally, he will share with you the results of their effort. Bertone is a professor and coordinator of the specializing course in clinical engineering at Albert Einstein Institute of Education and Research. And I'm delighted that he is taking the time to share his experience with all of you. With that, I'm inviting Bertone Suarez to give us his presentation. Thank you.
Hello. First, I would like to thank the organizing committee of the Global Clinical Engineering Alliance for the opportunity to present some of my work here in Brazil. I apologize for the mistakes and the lack of fluency in English. This has been my biggest challenge. Today, I am going to talk about the performance of the clinical engineer in the surgical center at the Albert Einstein Hospital. My name is Bertone. I have a degree in health technology and also in mechatronic engineering. I'm currently the coordinator of the clinical engineering department at the Albert Einstein Hospital and also the academic coordinator of the specialization course in clinical engineering at the Albert Einstein. I have 70 years of experience with clinical engineering and 10 years dedicated to the surgical center. My mission is to make the daily life of the surgical center safer for everyone using management and engineering techniques. A little about the hospital where I work. With more than 60 years of existence, Sociedade Beneficente Israelita Brasileira Albert Einstein still maintains one promise: innovate and grow always with excellence. It all started at a meeting of friends with a proposal to build a hospital. The dream became the commitment of the Jewish community to offer the population of Brazil a reference in the quality of the medical practice, and it has been done. Inaugurated in 1971, since then, it has become a reference in treatment with cutting-edge technology and humanized care, and has expanded its borders with social responsibility actions and activities of teaching and research. It has 663 beds, and it was the first hospital outside the United States to be accredited by Joint Commission International. Below some of their certification. Here is an image of the hospital, which was once considered the 38th best hospital in the world, according to Newsweek in 2020. The context. The constant evolution of technologies has made the environment of the surgical center increasingly technological, making hospitals' procedures increasingly complex. With the need for guaranteed management process focused on the excellence of the use of the medical technologies. In this session, we will present the model of the clinical engineer of the surgical center of Albert Einstein in last 10 years. The beginning of this work began with my transfer and promotion to the operation room center. Shortly after my beginning, I began the diagnosis and the long journey of transformation. Initially, we evaluated the results of the climate surveys carried out annually by the institution and the complaints from the leadership of the surgical center, and from there, we began the transformation. Our focus was divided into 4 main pillars: human resources, process, technologies, and training. In human resources, we resized the team according to workload, organization, and training. In process, we focus on structuring process to maintain security in the use of technologies for patients and users. We focus a lot on communication and organization. In technologies, we focus on understanding medical needs and technological renewal. In terms of training, we focus on developing knowledge multipliers. Responding to the ever-increasing needs of working closely with the patient, as an example of working with the configuration of a neuronavigator for neurological surgery, we realized that our current engineering department was very distant from the patient care process, and we worked closely with the human resource area for a change of board, where we started reporting to the hospital care board, responsible for the patient care. Here is the final organization chart, where the surgical center manager is a peer of the clinical engineer manager, and the clinical engineer coordinator is a peer of the other surgical center coordinators, providing greater proximity and teamwork. Now the clinical engineering team is part of patient care, logically focus on care with medical technologies. Here is the organization chart of my team, where we are responsible for the clinical engineer service of what we call a hospital. The service is responsible for the performance of the clinical engineer in all areas of patient care, such as the surgical center, inpatient units, emergency room, and intensive care units. We do not serve the areas of diagnostic medicine. It is served by another coordinator of clinical engineer. My team is made up of 50 professionals, comprising a coordinator, 3 supervisors, 1 leader, 4 engineers, 1 specialist, 31 technicians, 8 assistants, and 2 interns. As we have 2 surgical centers, we have a supervisor, 10 technicians, and 4 assistants for each surgical center. We also have a supervisor and 5 technicians who are responsible for the maintenance and quality of the equipment and instruments in the sterilizer maintenance center. There we carry out inspection and maintenance of optical fibers, endoscopes, video laparoscopy instruments, motors, and cables. We have the performance of the engineers focus on supporting robotic operation rooms, laser, and more complex problems. The specialist is responsible for investigating adverse events, recall, and alerts, in addition to acting in large projects and consultants. The leader and his team are dedicated to other areas of the hospital, such as intensive care units. We carry out everything from the management of the technology park, acting in the incorporation of new technologies, corrective and preventive maintenance to the final destination of the technologies. Our main activities are divided into three pillars: assistance, maintenance, and management. Assistance. We operate from the planning of the equipment for surgeries, MAP, involving rent and consigning equipment, supply configuration, inspection and assembly of equipment in the operator room, checklist, receipt, installation, return of equipment, consigning, renting, and loans. Planning and monitoring of the surgeries using lasers and neuronavigators, supply and cleaning equipment, technical support for the surgeries, e-transmission of the surgeries, and training. Maintenance. Planning and execution of the preventive maintenance, hiring, purchasing of parts. Execution and management of corrective maintenance of the entire surgical center base. Management, selection, evaluation, testing, and acquisition of the new technologies, budget management of the corrective and preventive maintenance, management of the medical technology maintenance contracts, parts planning, maintenance, and release contracts. Analysis, investigation of events related to medical technologies, analysis of alerts and recall related to equipment, and the others. Here are some pictures of the team performance. Our day begins with the daily surgical center safety meeting. In this meeting, we discussed previous problems, points of attention for the success of the day. Throughout the day, we carry out a structured checklist to avoid failures during surgeries. At the end of each surgery, we disassemble and clean the equipment used and start assembling the next surgery, installing the necessary equipment and carrying out the checklist. Today, we are already able to carry out an average of 93% of the checklists before the patient enters the operation room. MAP. We also had a strategic meeting to organize the equipment need for the surgeries in the coming days. In this meeting, we mapped all the needs with a focus on meeting all technology requests and thus meeting the medical preference and needs. If necessary, we rent or consign the equipment. Surgical documentation management. We carry out the configuration of the recording system so that the surgeries are recorded and archived in the cloud. During our checklist, we carry out an addition to the image tests of the video laparoscopy system. We also carry out the configuration of the patient's data, and at the end of the procedures, we send the file to a structured cloud to receive approximately 1,500 surgeries per month. Communication. We have a structured shift change where we report one form everything that happened in the previous shift, so that the team that is taking over the shift can carry out the proper sequence of the work. This structured shift handover brought us a lot of quality in the process and also reduced the conflict between the team of different shifts. Because with the farming, the effort of those who complete the shift is remarkable, eliminating margins for the shift that is taking over to complain that tasks were left pending from the previous shift. Adverse events. We performed the evaluation of all events related to equipment that caused problem for patient. We conducted a survey to identify the root cause. We interviewed the patients involved. We segregate equipment and accessories. We check the record images of the rooms. We evaluate videos if it's video surgery. We implemented an effective action plan to mitigate the risk of new episodes. We notify our regulatory agents for health products, Anvisa, if applicable. Results. Our main indicators of the surgical center is the indication of the level of the clinical engineer service. We are measured by delay, lack, and failure of the equipment for surgeries. Our goal is 97% of surgeries without failures, and we have constantly surpassed this mark. Preventive maintenance results. We are managing to reach the targets for carrying out planning preventive maintenance thanks to a planning strategy where we start planning preventive maintenance 90 days in advance. We buy parts, kits, and we have already scheduled preventive maintenance with suppliers. We started the month with 100% of preventive maintenance distributed to the technicians. A good part of our success has also been due to the implementation of a RFID system for location equipment. Corrective maintenance, installation, and deactivation results. We monitor our goals on a daily basis and have managed to achieve them, performing corrective maintenance, installing new equipment, and deactivating obsolete equipment in order to maintain the available of equipment for the institution. Although we are having big problems with a supply chain, where parts take a long time to arrive. Here in Brazil, the time for parts arrive is very different. Many times we need to wait for parts to be imported, taking up 90 days in some cases. Specific results. New technologies with large annual investments, rooms with mobile operation tables, 4K video laparoscopy systems available fixedly on stands with repeater monitors, recording of the surgeries in the cloud, connected the equipment and vital data integrated into the patient chart, LED surgical lights, high flow vacuum system, and of electrical extension. standardization of the equipment and process, completed hybrid room, 2 sterilized material centers with up-to-date equipment, many microscopes, robots, and simulators. Life just got easier and surgeries happen more safely. Thanks again for the opportunity. I hope you have understood a little of the serious work we are doing here in Brazil. See you later.